Well, that's welcome back to the second channel. Hope you're all doing well. Today, I want to talk about the Joe Rogan podcast with Mr. Beast and kind of like break it down and what I learned from it. Mr. Beast, obviously top 5 biggest creators on the platform, along with like T-Series and shit. Personally, he's my favorite YouTuber on the platform at the moment in terms of like creativity and ingenuity and work ethic. He's incredible. I think he would be the most subbed. I think he, across all these channels, he's the most subbed, like 250, 260 mil or something like that, which is insane. Mr. Beast has literally set the standards for any content creator coming up at the moment. If you are interested in content creation, I'd implore you to go and watch that podcast of Mr. Beast. Incredibly influential figure at the moment in terms of content creation. You can learn a lot as an up and coming content creator from Mr. Beast and his work ethic and his mentality towards content and what it takes to be the best of the best. Like the amount of hours that goes in behind the scenes. A lot of people will watch my videos and stuff, they'll be like, oh, he puts in no effort, you know, he's just behind the scenes reacting to fucking like, you know, Irish Rewind or Gogglebox or Geoguess or something like that. And it's like the amount of effort that goes into every video, planning wise, thumbnails and stuff like that, and make sure everything's perfect, is incredible. I run 2 channels. I run this channel and the main channel, and then the podcast, and then Twitch as well, and TikTok. I'm doing 5 different fronts of content creation, and if you think that's impressive, Mr. Beast probably doing 20 fronts of content creation. Obviously, he's the main channel, the second channel, he's the reaction channel, the philanthropy channel. He has all of, I think he's the main channel, the second channel, all in like different languages as well. So like, he's doing like, he probably has like 15 to 20 channels, if we're being honest. But what did I learn from that podcast yesterday? I still have like 40 minutes left in it. I love Joe Rogan. I seen someone rip into Joe Rogan being like, oh, I'm so disappointed Jimmy's gone on to that podcast, blah, blah. I'm like, honestly, get a grip. Like, just cancel culture, fucking buffoons. People don't understand why he's so good at what he does. You have to understand, a lot of people who would watch Joe Rogan would not have a clue who Mr. Beast is. So his perspective is he wants to learn the same rate the viewer wants to learn, which is really, really important in a podcast. It's so important. I can go into a podcast and learn every single fact about a person if I wanted to, but it'll just end up being boring because it'll just be like, oh, so you did this at this point and you blah, blah. I think it's way more entertaining to listen to a podcast where one person doesn't have a clue about the other person, and it just, you kind of learn with them and you kind of learn everything about the other person who's been interviewed at the same pace as the interviewer. And I find it way more entertaining personally. But people understand are like, oh, he did no research for this podcast, he didn't even know who Mr. Beast is, blah blah. Obviously you have to know, like, Mr. Beast is one of the biggest creators on the platform, one of the most influential people on the platform, like what he does, you know, his different channels, and like, you know, you do like generic research, but you don't want to learn. A very important part in that podcast was him talking about Crohn's disease, and he was trying to make it off as like, oh, it's no big deal. But obviously Joe was like, oh, this is a big deal, like this is incredible, like you're doing all of this stuff, you know, in your career, and you're held back by an autoimmune disease. You learn little things like that I would have never known with Mr. Beast if he went on Impulsive or something like that. Me personally, I just prefer interviews where the podcaster knows little information and it's literally like they're talking for the first time. You're literally recording that on camera. That's the way I look at it, and that's the way the best podcasts come about, and that's why I try and do it with most podcasts I do. That's a little criticism I saw people making a podcast, which again, just idiots that don't watch Joe Rogan all the time. Like, oh, I'm not downloading Spotify to listen to this. Like, fuck off then, we don't care. Mr. Beast, what the fuck, man? Like, the absolute time and effort that man puts into YouTube is beyond ridiculous. I spent a lot of time, well, in the last like month or two, in calls with JMY, who in my opinion is the person that I would say can get the closest to Mr. Beast in terms of Ireland, in terms of like the vision and stuff like that. And he learns the algorithm, what works, what do we want to watch, viewer attention, all that stuff, analytics and stuff. And I'm kind of trying to learn about that. I did a full 2 weeks where I just learned about SEO and just like learned about behind the scenes stuff. Learning about YouTube is like generally about its research. Like if you want to learn to be a YouTuber or stuff like that, anyone could be a YouTuber, but it depends how successful you are by the amount of time and work you put into it. It's my motto in life. If you want to be the best you can possibly be, if you want to be better than the people you see achieving your dreams at the moment, you have to be better than them, and you have to work just as hard, if not harder than them, to get to that position. I think everyone that's like clued into content creation knows what you have to do to be a top content creator. It's just about putting the effort and the time is really, really what sets people apart. I see a lot of people on Twitter who are like SEO fucking like, I call them stat pad merchants. They basically mentor smaller channels and make them big. And I respect that because that's someone's job, and that I'm not going to shit on someone's job. But in my opinion, if you are able to get results like that, why aren't you doing it yourself? If I had the brain that some of these people on Twitter had towards content, like I would be one of the biggest content creators in Ireland by now. Like, but on the other hand as well, I look at it as if like, if you can't be arsed to learn the SEO yourself, or if you can't learn what YouTube's all about and what makes people want to watch a video, what do people like Mr. Beast has shown and what he's done himself with him and his friends, then you're just not going to make it. Like, if you're looking to hire someone to do all that work for you, like about SEO and like about the search engine, about how to get recommended on YouTube and stuff like that, and like tags, title, description, like what people like want to watch and stuff, then in my opinion, you're never going to make it, because you have to do all that stuff yourself and get an understanding of the platform you're trying to work on. Like, in my opinion. But you do see people hiring other people to do all that dirty work for them. And I'm just like, if you want to be the best of the best, you have to work as hard as the best of the best. And that at the moment is Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast did all that shit himself. He's been in the business for 10 years himself. I've been in this industry for like 6 years pretty much, in terms of like making content. I'm coming up on 7 years of making videos, and I've watched content my entire life. I've watched Jacksepticeye, I've watched Joe Rogan, The True Geordie, like all these people that I look up to, and I'm very clued up on what works, what doesn't, how to be a content creator, how to present yourself on camera, and how to talk and stuff. And that all comes from learning. Like, you have to learn all that stuff yourself. There's no fucking, like, it's like being a comedian. There's no like book on how to be a comedian. You have to master that trade and learn every aspect of what makes people laugh, what makes someone engage in a joke, what gets people's funny bones, even if it's the darkest shit possible, what gets people laughing, no matter what the targeted joke is. Same with YouTube. Like, if you want to be the best of the best, you have to learn every last nook and fucking cranny of this platform in order to succeed. And that's why I see a lot of people on Twitter just trying to cheat that and just getting other people to do the work for them. It's fucking stupid. Like, if you're trying to get big on YouTube and you're hiring other people to get you there, it's just, honestly, go fucking... I hate people that don't work as hard but expect the results. It's so fucking infuriating. Because I work my arse off every day to do content and to try and further myself as a person and as a creator, and try and put in a lot of effort into my videos and stuff. And people just think that they can get this by luck. One thing that I've learned from this is there will be people like, there will be people who do get lucky and stuff in the system. But for the most part, it's hard work and dedication into the trade, and like making stuff that you're really proud of and making stuff people want to watch. I think is really, really important. If you want to be a content creator, you should be watching Mr. Beast stuff and analyzing at a very basic level, understanding the color grading of the video. Why are people more drawn to this thumbnail, for example? Like, why do people want to watch this video over your video or someone else's video? And you can do that by looking at Mr. Beast stuff and trying to either replicate it or come up with your own ideas. For me personally, the easiest part of content creation is coming up with the idea, and the hardest part is executing that idea. And that's kind of what I learned from Mr. Beast's podcast with Joe Rogan, is like, you can have an idea, but the idea means fuck all if you can't effectively produce that idea. I have insane ideas for content creation that I can someday do, but I can't do it at the moment because I don't have the resources or the equipment or the funds to make it the way I wanted to make it. And that's what's holding me back personally. And again, that's an excuse. And if you want to get insane at content creation, you have to get through those barriers, and I need to get through that myself. In terms of, like, I live in the countryside, so that's a big barrier for me. I need to get a car on the road, so I'm working every day to try and get a car on the road and try and get my license and stuff, so I can travel and do different content in different locations. That's really important to me. I feel like a lot of people have this misconception, I did as well for a long time, that you have to have like a certain amount of subs or something like that for YouTube to recommend your content. When in actual fact, you could have 0 subs and 0 views and your content will still get recommended if you put in the time and the effort into that video and make it the best possible video you can possibly make. And it can literally go from 0 views to 100,000. I see it all the time. And it's something I've struggled with. It's why I have to move away from the content I was making as soon as possible. Because I see a lot of people after like 7 hours, their video goes like insane. Like after like 6-7 hours, and it goes poof. Like YouTube, like people really like that video that saw it so far, and you should just recommend that shit like mad, like poof. Like, and that's what I need to get to. That's called viral videos, and making viral videos is very difficult. But if you put in the time and effort and you understand the system behind how you get a viral video, it's very, very easy. Mr. Beast is a legend. He's an absolute fucking goat at this platform. And I just want you guys to, I want people to acknowledge that if you want to be the best, and the whole point of this video is literally, if you want to be the best, you have to learn from the best. Mr. Beast. Watch the podcast. There's a link down below. Go and listen to it. Go and watch it. If you're into content creation, you want to be a content creator, if you want to be a YouTuber, a streamer, a podcaster, go watch that. The same core principles apply to every aspect of media. So I'd implore you to go and watch that video. And hopefully someday I'll see myself on that level. You'll notice what he says a couple of times in the podcast about when he was 19, he was doing this or he was doing this wrong, blah, blah. And like, I'm 19 now and I'm absorbing every last mistake he's ever made. Like, I have this weird trait that I do all the time where I look at people who were in my position a couple of years ago and I see what mistakes they made and I learn from those mistakes before I make those mistakes. It's very, very important. And it's one of the reasons why I will succeed in this platform and this industry, because that's a really important thing. To be able to learn from your mistakes and become a better person because of them, but also to see your mistakes before you make them is also really, really, really intuitive. I want to get Paddy Galloway in the podcast soon. A lot of you guys won't know who that is, which is completely fine, but he worked with Mr. Beast before about like the whole SEO and like algorithm stuff on YouTube, and I want to get him on the podcast to talk about that stuff. So Paddy, if you're watching the video, get on the podcast. DM me on fucking Twitter or something like that. Let's do it next week or something, because I really want people to see how easy content creation can be if you put in the time and the effort. It's so easy if you put in the time. And that's what I'm learning. I'm in this learning phase of my life with content creation where I'm learning every last aspect of the trade to become the best creator I could possibly be. And that's kind of what I implore everyone to be able to do themselves. So yeah, That's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Make sure to check out my main channel as well. I'll talk to you in the next one. Cheers for watching, boys. Mwah. Slán go full.